Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, The Primordial Law. Volume 6, Battle for the True Inheritance. Chapter 1 542 The Ranking of New Recruits. First of Volume 6. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. Spirit Mountain Mount Ling soared thousands of feet into the sky, its peak appearing as if cleaved by a single sword strike, forming a vast rocky plateau. Upon this summit, towering pavilions and solemn black halls stood amidst ancient spiritual wood forests, exuding their historical depth undeniable. 13 ancient pagodas hung suspended in the clouds, their forms flickering in and out of view, merging seamlessly with the heaven-earth spring. It remained unclear whether these were spiritual artifacts or the dwelling of some mysterious, powerful figure. On the Azure Jade Formation stone-paved plaza, newly enlisted lower-rank sentinels patrolled and stood guard. They all bowed respectfully upon seeing Elder Qin. Among the sentinels on duty, Li Wei recognized a familiar face, Tuoba Buchuo, the silver pure immortal physique. Tuoba Buchuo's face lit up with joy as he waved from afar, shouting, "Brother Wei. Wonderful. You're here too. I heard you became the Grand Palace Master's disciple." Li Wei wasn't particularly surprised to see Tuoba. After all, the veteran sentinel spirit Tuoba Dao was one of the Tuoba clan's founding ancestors. How could he not nurture his outstanding descendants? While the sentinel spirit army's duties were dangerous, they were funded by various factions. With genuine talent, one could acquire cultivation resources unavailable elsewhere. The rigorous training further stimulated potential, allowing rapid advancement through competition. After exchanging pleasantries, Li Wei said, "I'm going to pay my respects to the Deputy Watchtower Sentinel Lord first. You stay here and keep watch. Don't get caught slacking." The Sentinel Spirit Army's discipline was strict. No sooner had Li Wei finished speaking than a stern voice, seemingly emanating from nowhere, echoed above Tuoba Buchuo's head, chatting while on duty. 3 days merit points deducted. Tuoba Buchuo wore a look of tearful resignation, daring not to utter another word. As they walked across the plaza, Li Wei murmured, "The Sentinel Spirit Army is too strict, isn't it? We were just catching up. If we're not strict with new recruits, the entire Cave Void Dongshu camp would descend into chaos. Anyone could break the rules with impunity. What difference would it be from a marketplace?" Elder Qin replied, sounding stern and righteous. Hearing these words from the old man's mouth, Li Wei couldn't help but feel a strange sense of incongruity. Vice Hall Master Lu Tianchen, hailing from the Lu clan, the foremost of the 8 clans of the Rainforest Living Realm, had lived for 2,800 years. He presided over the Cave Void Dongshu camp's main hall through a willow wood clone. Legend held that Lu Tianchen had cultivated 5 clones, having mastered the 5th stage of the 8 clans techniques. Each clone possessed unfathomable combat prowess, earning him the title, 6 Lives Transcendent, in southern Yingzhou. He appeared to be around 50 years old, with a square face, thick eyebrows, and sharp eyes. Clad in dark armor, he sat at a bronze table, reviewing scrolls. Every day, a massive influx of intelligence poured in from watchtower camps across the life realms and nether realms. After being processed by the Spirit Pivot Group, these reports were delivered to him in batches. Enter. Hearing the summons from within, Li Wei followed Elder Qin into the camp hall, maintaining a respectful posture. The deep black hall stretched 30 zhong in length and housed a small teleportation formation used solely for urgent intelligence transmissions. 16 figures sat on either side of the hall, all experts from the Spirit Pivot Group, their desks piled high with scrolls. "Greetings, Deputy Sentinel Lord," the 2 men bowed in unison. Li Wei was unaware that the Deputy Sentinel Lord before him was merely a clone, sensing only the man's immense presence and overwhelming life force. As they drew closer, it felt like entering another world, where the sound of flowing water and birdsong filled the air, and the fragrant scent of vegetation permeated the surroundings. This was a self-contained domain. Behind Lu Tianchen, a panoramic map of the East Sea hung on the wall, marking the territories of the dead spirit fiends along the coastal regions. Clearly, the East Sea and its surrounding areas were currently the Cave Void Dongshu camp's primary focus for surveillance. Lu Tianchen set down the communication talisman, his gaze deep as he turned to Elder Qin. The space teleportation formation in the Forbidden Palace Mountains has been destroyed. Traveling to Cave Ruins Dongshu Ghost City will now require an 80,000-mile detour. Mo Qin, investigate who's responsible. Be cautious. Recent events, the Mist Celestial's return and the immortal Dao Dragon Veins' resurgence, have stirred up the nether realm of the dead, making it unusually active. The southern region of the 100 Realms of the Living falls under the Cave Void Dongshu camp's surveillance. The Taiyan sect has arrived too. Elder Qin handed over the whistle and summoned the battle corps. Li Wei noticed a white mist rising around them, obscuring the 16 spirit pivot group members within the camp hall. Xie Wumian and Luo Pingdan are the Taiyan sect's most promising young talents. Now that they've entered Cave Void Dongshu camp territory, we can't let them leave. Lu Tianchen fell into thought, then picked up a brush and began drafting a mission targeting the Taiyan sect on a leather scroll. Elder Qin added, capturing them alive would reveal many truths. The 12 Taiyan envoys are still young, but I fear older members of the sect may have also come to the East Sea. Since Luo Pingdan can command armies of fierce souls and corpse spirits, Chu Yudian must have already visited the dead spirit transcendent here. Even without the Taiyan sect's elders, this matter is exceedingly troublesome. After their discussion concluded, Lu Tianchen's gaze finally settled on Li Wei. Since the Sentinel Lord himself has approved it, take him to complete the enlistment procedures first. An hour later, Li Wei received a large quantity of supplies. Sentinel Whistle, Sentinel Sword, Blood Crystals, Armor, Waist Token, Talisman Seal, Blood Valley Pills. The Sentinel Sword was a slender, foot-long blade, a 9th grade 100 inscriptions artifact, as thin as a needle and lacking a hilt. Every martial mystic cultivator had their preferred weapon, and sentinels weren't forced to use the Sentinel Sword. It was only required during combined sword formation training, as the blade was inscribed with formation glyphs essential for unleashing the formation's full power. He received 3 Blood Valley pills, each capable of providing 10 days worth of high-quality blood chi nourishment for a sentinel spirit. Outside the Merit Hall, a 3-jong tall jade wall was covered in densely packed bamboo plaques. As the wind rustled through them, they produced a pleasant, rattling sound. Curious, Li Wei approached the wall. The plaques displayed names and rankings. Yuan Zhen Guard, Valiant Guard, Yuan Zhen. Jade Sword Guard, Valiant Guard, Chong Yujian. Lu Qing Guard, Valiant Guard, Lu Qing. Yan Shui Guard, Valiant Guard, Tong Yangzhu. Elder Qin walked up behind Li Wei, his hands clasped behind his back, and grinned. This year's recruits. 5 mid-level sentinel guards and 5 low-level sentinel guards, each guard with about 100 men. The top 5 recruits in the Sentinel assessment trials can name their guards after themselves, and that name will remain until the end of their 3-year probationary recruit period. For the next 3 years, all learning, training, trials, assessments, quarterly exams, and annual exams will be conducted by guards. Li Wei asked, so many recruits. Didn't you say you only recruit a dozen or so from the Lingxiao realm? Elder Qin replied, the Cave Void Dongshu camp recruits sentinels proportionally to the population of each life realm. The Lingxiao realm has suffered decades of war, followed by the demon calamity and the corpse sowing rice disaster, causing its population to plummet. Some prefectures are now 9/10 deserted. As a result, we only recruited 10 sentinels and 2 sentinel spirits. No, wait, there was one who came uninvited, making it 3. Actually, we rarely recruit many sentinel spirits in previous years. But we lost a batch of them in the East Sea and urgently need replacements. Otherwise, we'll have no one available. That's why we're recruiting so heavily this time. You should know that sentinels in the Dao Seed realm focus primarily on training and learning. Only after reaching the immortal realm and becoming sentinel spirits are they deployed to the nether realm of the dead for dangerous missions. Li Wei scanned the rankings for the mid-tier sentinel assessment. Chong Yujian was prominently listed in 2nd place. In the East Sea, he had been a helper invited by the Calamity Crossing Temple, not a disciple of the temple. The Chong clan's domain, the Chong Lake habitat, was a mid-sized life realm with a population of 2 to 300 million. Like Azure Earth, it was a vassal state of the Demon Kingdom. Elder Qin said, Chong Yujian is no ordinary man. It's said that a Demon Kingdom transcendent from the Calamity Crossing Temple helped him obtain immortal herb. He's been in seclusion recently, cultivating the immortal body. Why didn't he seize this opportunity to join the Calamity Crossing Temple instead of coming to such a dangerous place like the Cave Void Dongshu camp? Li Wei asked, surprised. He knew the Chong clan was an extremely powerful ancient clan, their influence extending far beyond the Chong Lake habitat, reaching even the Demon Kingdom's highest echelons of power. Elder Qin explained, first, to be selected by the Sentinel Spirit Army, his character must have been impeccable for the past few decades. Second, ancient clans always hedge their bets to ensure their lineage survives. They would never concentrate all their talented descendants in one place. Since Chong Yuqing is already at the Calamity Crossing Temple, Chong Yujian naturally sought another path. Li Wei asked, is the Demon Kingdom also one of the 20 life realms surrounding cave ruins Dongshu Ghost City? Their population is said to exceed 10 billion, not counting vassal states like Chong Lake Habitat and Azure Earth. How many sentinels must they recruit? Elder Qin replied, the Demon Kingdom is the largest life realm in the southern 100 realms of the living. How could the Cave Void Dongshu camp escape its influence? The more powerful a life realm, the more resources it sends to the Sentinel Spirit Army. Don't worry too much. Although there are many sentinels from the Demon Kingdom, they've all been screened, and we have ways to keep them from forming factions. Besides, the Demon Kingdom itself is divided into warring factions, constantly fighting each other. Li Wei secretly marveled at the Demon Kingdom's terrifying scale. It was truly a colossal power. No wonder a mere crown prince could nearly overthrow the Lingxiao realm. Elder Qin stared at the bamboo tokens on the jade wall. Yuan Zhen, Lu Qing, Tong Yangzu, Yu Zheng. These are no ordinary individuals. Each possesses extraordinary talent. Yuan Zhen is a transcendent child from the Calamity Crossing realm, a female transcendent. Her physical body is exceptionally robust, her bones, tendons, and skin imbued with innate transcendent scriptures. Her strength surpasses even Chong Yujian's. It remains to be seen whether Chong Yujian can cultivate the immortal body. Lu Qing is the foremost expert in the Crimson Bright realm below the immortal realm. Of course, this title changes every few years. At his current level, he'll soon break through to immortal realm. Yu Zheng is a member of the Demon Kingdom's imperial clan, the great-grandson of the Heavenly Emperor. Ranks 6th through 10th are all deputy valiant guards. Li Wei couldn't find Tang Zan or Lu Yi's names. They likely reached the immortal realm before the trials and participated in the Sentinel Spirit assessment instead. Moreover, Lu Yi wasn't a new recruit, she seemed more like someone with connections. The 5 mid-tier Sentinel guards have already been assigned. What about me? Li Wei asked. Just join any guard, old Taoist Qin said casually. Li Wei asked, wouldn't that mean I'd have to take orders from the Valiant Guard and Deputy Valiant Guard? Who told you to arrive late? Or you could join the Spiritual Master Guard. They have plenty of beautiful women there, and rumor has it that one of them is particularly stunning, the most beautiful woman of this generation in the life realm. Besides, everyone thinks your martial mystic Dao path is broken anyway. This is the perfect opportunity to cultivate your psychic power to the Holy Spiritual Master realm. I tried to join back in my day, but unfortunately, I didn't make the cut, Elder Qin sighed wistfully. Can I become a valiant guard? No. Li Wei sighed softly. Having grown accustomed to being a divine hidden one, he found it difficult to take orders from martial mystic cultivators of his own generation. He asked, what do the numbers after the top 10 in the new recruits list mean? Elder Qin pulled Li Wei around to the other side of the jade wall. The new recruits, merit list. The top 10 recruits in the Sentinel Spirit assessment receive merit points ranging from 100 to 500. Merit points are hard to earn for new recruits. You only get 1 point for a full day of training without making any mistakes. You need to be in the top 100 to even get your name on the merit list. Li Wei noticed that Yuan Zhen, ranked first, had 506 merit points, while many of those ranked lower had single-digit scores. He couldn't help but ask, are merit points only for getting your name on a list? Are there no tangible benefits? Like, can you directly become a valiant guard? Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, The Primordial Law. Volume 6, Battle for the True Inheritance. Chapter 2, 543, Changyu Jian cultivates the immortal body. Second of Volume 6. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. Want to become a valiant guard? You'll have to wait until next year's annual assessment and compete for it yourself, Elder Qin said. Merit points are valuable. You can exchange them for leave, opportunities to cultivate at various ancient sects and academies, or even access secret realms for cultivation. Just avoid breaking any rules and accumulate as many as you can. Li Wei asked, didn't you say I earned a great merit? How many merit points would that be worth? As soon as he finished speaking. Whoosh. The jade wall before them shimmered with light. Yuan Zhen, previously ranked first on the merit leaderboard, was now pushed down to second place. Li Wei's name appeared at the top, with 30,000 merit points. The two men beneath the jade wall fell silent. After a long pause, Li Wei said, is 30,000 a lot or a little? It feels too conspicuous. Won't it make me a target? Let them come. As long as they haven't breakthrough to immortal realm, what are you afraid of? They're just a bunch of new recruits. Focus on cultivating your psychic power and reach Holy Spiritual Master realm as soon as possible. Elder Qin, unsure of Li Wei's current strength, feared he might become a target without the means to defend himself. While the Sentinel Spirit Army prioritized character assessment, how could anyone reach the pinnacle of cultivation below the immortal realm without unwavering ambition and a competitive spirit? The merit leaderboard's prominent display clearly revealed the Sentinel Spirit Army's leadership's intentions. Elder Qin took Li Wei to the camp market, mess hall, and other key areas to familiarize him with the environment before finally leading him to his accommodation. Due to his exceptional merits, Li Wei had been promoted to senior sentinel, bypassing the cramped cliffside caves shared by mid-rank and low-rank sentinels. Instead, he was assigned an independent camp located behind the new recruit camp. Barracks number 36. The barracks were simple, constructed from rough-hewn bluestone. Fortunately, it included a private training courtyard and a defensive formation, making it far superior to the densely packed cliffside caves. After Elder Qin left, Li Wei immediately went to the new recruit camp to exchange his merit points for a month's leave. 100 merit points could be exchanged for 1 day of additional leave. Merit points weren't consumed upon exchange, they accumulated indefinitely. However, once exchanged, the merit points became a numerical value, losing their original significance. Tu Nanfeng, the mid-rank sentinel spirit in charge of the new recruit camp, was an aberrant humanoid standing 5 meters tall. He repeatedly examined Li Wei's waist tag. The spiritual light characters within the tag indeed showed 30,000 merit points. With a stern expression, Tu Nanfeng said, new recruits must participate in mandatory survival training in the Nether Realm of the Dead, even when on leave. Otherwise, entering the Netherworld trials or rotating guard duty later will be extremely dangerous. Returning to barracks number 36, Li Wei activated the formation. He entered the blood mud space and saw Yuer sitting on the jade boat, writing in her journal. When Li Wei met with the deputy sentinel lord, he didn't mention the soul-burning heavenly fire. If he did, the deputy lord would undoubtedly connect it to the Grand Palace Master. For such a critical matter, he trusted only Master Coffin. Unfortunately, Elder Qin informed him that Master Coffin had gone to the corpse sea of rotting swamps to mend his damaged body and cultivate his corpse form, and wouldn't return for some time. Yuer, what are you writing? Li Wei asked, curious about what could possibly be happening in the blood mud space. Yuer immediately closed her notebook, tucked it into her cloth bag, and leapt off the jade boat, rushing over with a distressed expression. Master, please don't leave me alone here again, okay? I'll be staying here with you for the next while, Li Wei replied, sighing inwardly. With his current cultivation level, the amount of soul-burning heavenly fire he could obtain would be negligible, a mere drop in the bucket for Yuer's needs. He could only focus on improving their living environment. If he could quickly advance to become a low-rank sentinel spirit, he would gain his own cave dwelling and be able to bring 2 attendants, enjoying the privileges of a giant in the immortal realm. Tu Nanfeng gave Li Wei a mandatory Dao technique manual, 10 Swords of the Sentinel Spirit. According to Tu Nanfeng, this was the Sentinel Spirit Army's imperial technique and the foundation of their combined sword formation. New recruits were required to master the first layer within a year and the second layer within 3 years. After skimming through the manual, Li Wei tossed it aside and wove a cocoon of time. For the next month, Li Wei waited for Master Coffin's return, occasionally visiting the new recruit camp for training. Most of his time was spent within the cocoon of time, studying various true scriptures and cultivating his psychic power. He also continued to absorb the 6-clawed immortal dragon chi to enhance his cultivation. After roughly 5 months of cultivation within the cocoon, his divine pivot Dao seed had advanced significantly, reaching the peak of the 7th heaven in the Dao seed realm. His wind mansion, meanwhile, had reached the peak of the 9th heaven. At the cave void Dongshu camp, he could purchase true spiritual pills. Li Wei's psychic power had improved greatly, but he still had some distance to go before reaching the peak of a 9-star spiritual master. Vajra's wrathful gaze. Li Wei's body was enveloped within a 9-meter-tall fiery giant, waves of heat radiating outward with immense power. After absorbing the karmic fire from the Kongshu's wind mansion, he finally mastered the 4th layer of the 6-fold samsara burning karma technique. With his current combat strength, even without using martial mystic intent fusion techniques or relying on the dragon soul and 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors, he could defeat Yao Qian through his martial mystic path alone. A month has passed in the blink of an eye. Li Wei withdrew from the blood mud space, contemplating whether to exchange for another month of leave. He planned to cultivate his psychic power to the peak of the 9th heaven before his 3-month agreement with Lu Jingxian expired. As Li Wei stepped out of barracks number 36 and walked along the stone path, a voice called out from afar, "Brother Wei, I heard you took a month's leave. I've been counting the days, you should be emerging from seclusion today." Changyu Jian stood gracefully outside barracks number 28, his long, purplish hair cascading down his shoulders. A warm smile played on his lips, as if he had been waiting patiently for a long time. Li Wei clasped his hands in greeting. "What a small world, Brother Chong. Since our parting in the East Sea, your cultivation has deepened immensely. Have you already cultivated the immortal body?" Changyu Jian didn't deny it. "Risking my life to seek fortune in the East Sea, I had to gain something." Interested in watching a match. Li Wei's heart stirred. With Changyu Jian's innate talent and his mastery of the immortal body, he was now fully qualified to contend for the position of true disciple of the ancient sect. Yuan Zhen. Who else could it be? You deliberately waited for me to emerge from seclusion before challenging him, didn't you? Are you planning to take us both on? Haha, if I wanted to challenge you, would I go to such lengths? Don't worry, I just want you to see how much my current strength surpasses Shang Wulian's. Having cultivated the immortal body, Cheng Yujian radiated confidence and sharpness. He took Li Wai by the arm and led him toward the new recruit camp. Noon, Zongwu or midday, was the sentinels' rest period. Yet nearly all of them were cultivating near the martial mystic arena, either absorbing heaven-earth spiritual qi, practicing the 10 swords of the sentinel spirit, or studying the spiritual scriptures. Not a single one slacked off. They hailed from various living realms, and even the low-ranked sentinels were considered heavenly prides in their respective regions. Before joining the army, each had been arrogant and self-assured. But after a month in the ranks, witnessing the vastness beyond their own worlds and the existence of even greater talents, most had their pride tempered. Now, they focused solely on relentless cultivation, striving to catch up. Cheng Yujian had shown brilliantly during the new recruit assessment, earning recognition from nearly everyone. His emergence from seclusion immediately caused a sensation. Cheng Yujian has finally emerged. I heard he obtained immortal herb in the East Sea and has been in seclusion cultivating the immortal body. If I'd known there would be immortal herb, I would have gone too. The elders warned us that excavating the ancient immortal dragon remains was fraught with peril and advised Dao Seed Realm martial mystic cultivators to stay away. If he truly cultivates the immortal body, he'll become the Chong clan's foremost talent among the younger generation. Not just the Chong clan's foremost talent. He'll undoubtedly secure a place among the Demon Kingdom's top 3 heavenly emperor's disciples in this Jiazi cycle, the number 1 scholar, 2nd scholar, or 3rd scholar. All eyes were fixed on Cheng Yujian, with no one paying attention to Li Wai, who had accompanied him. Except for the sentinels from the Lingxiao life realm. Cheng Yujian's blade shimmered with radiant light as he strode toward the jade battle platform at the center of the martial mystic arena. A chilling wind suddenly materialized, sweeping across the arena. Yuan Zhen, he called out, his voice sharp as a blade, are you ready to face my challenge? Whoosh. His figure shot upward like a sword, transforming into a beam of light that landed at the center of the battle platform. Releasing his full aura, he swept his gaze across all the sentinels present. The sentinels felt his gaze pierce them like a blade, so sharp they dared not meet his eyes, instinctively averting their gaze. Lu Qing, appearing to be in his late 20s, stood at the forefront of Lu Qingwei's group of sentinels, putting away the sword manual for the 10 swords of the sentinel spirit. He sighed in admiration, such overwhelming blood qi. Even from 3 miles away, it exerts a palpable pressure. Yu Zheng, his physique robust and his crimson eyes gleaming with sharp intensity, remarked, cultivating the immortal body truly makes a difference. We can't compete with him in the Dao Seed realm. We must break through to immortal realm as quickly as possible to maintain our advantage in cultivation speed. Yu Zheng was well aware that cultivating the immortal body granted a cultivation speed advantage in the immortal realm, but that advantage wasn't so overwhelming as to be insurmountable. The sentinels from the Lingxiao life realm gathered around Li Wai, their movements swift and coordinated. Among them were Tai Shi Yu, Song Qingli, and Tuo Babuchuo, his former comrades. Cao Shisen and Chen Huang, the imperial court's top experts, stood beside them. The remaining figures were less familiar. For the imperial court seeking to remain hidden, the cave void Dongshu camp was undoubtedly an ideal destination for its younger generation. Li Shenyan, you've finally emerged from seclusion. Seeing you is harder than ascending to heaven. Now that you've attached yourself to the Grand Palace Master, have you forgotten your old brothers? Tai Shi Yu teased with a smile. Li Wai replied, I'll be sure to inform the Grand Palace Master about your use of the word, attached, in the future. The Grand Palace Master tolerates no dissent and is known for her unwavering will and decisive actions. Your slanderous words could cost lives. Tai Shi Yu quickly changed the subject, knowing Li Wai was only joking. He dared not linger on the topic of the Grand Palace Master. Have you already fought Cheng Yujian? What was the outcome? Seeing them arrive together, the martial mystic cultivators of the Lingxiao life realm naturally assumed they had already clashed. A battle between Cheng Yujian, who had cultivated the immortal body, and Li Wai would undoubtedly be a clash of titans, with the outcome uncertain. After all, Li Wai had already proven himself by defeating Shang Wulian in the East Sea. I imagine we'll clash sooner or later, Li Wai said, his gaze fixed on the distant battle platform. Cheng Yujian, do you think you can win without fighting, simply by releasing your aura? Today, I'll weigh the immortal body's true worth. A heroic figure in full armor soared through the air, covering several miles in an instant. Even before Yuan Zhen landed on the battle platform, their martial mystic intent had already collided. The moment they stepped onto the battle platform, their spiritual qi clashed and intertwined, erupting in a thunderous roar. Simultaneously, they each unleashed a palm strike. Boom. Yuan Zhen's skin shimmered with blindingly bright, white transcendent scriptures, while thunderous echoes reverberated within his body. Yet he could only withstand 3 breaths before the force of Chang Yujian's palm strike sent him staggering backward. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, The Primordial Law. Volume 6, Battle for the True Inheritance. Chapter 3, 544, The Choice. 3rd of Volume 6. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. The offspring of female transcendents are born with transcendent flesh, their soul spirits nourished by transcendent spiritual qi. Though this innate power gradually diminishes during their postnatal development, it remains formidable, making it far easier for them to cultivate an immortal body compared to other martial mystic cultivators. Li Wei watched the intense clash on the battle platform, secretly comparing the two combatants to Sheng Wulian and Si Wuyan. The battle platform, constructed from massive boulders, stood 10 zhang high. Intricate formation glyphs shimmered across its surface, emitting radiant beams of light. Boom. Yuan Zhen's armor was heavy and imposing, his feet planted firmly on a sea of spiritual qi. Despite his youthful appearance, seemingly only around 20 years old, his palm techniques were broad and sweeping. Empowered by transcendent scriptures woven into his bones, tendons, and skin, Yuan Zhen's combat prowess rivaled even the Life and Death duo, who wielded the Northern Life Sea Map and the Southern Death Mountain scriptures. His vitality surged, and though he was on the defensive, he withstood Chang Yujian's relentless attacks without faltering. Li Wei estimated that Yuan Zhen's physical body, while not quite at 99% of an immortal body, was remarkably close. They're both at the 9th heaven, yet their combat power is worlds apart. These two are nearly on par with experts of the immortal realm. Even the demon child would likely lose more often than win against them, someone remarked. Cao Shisen and Chen Huang had once been among the top Dao Seed Realm experts in Lingxiao City. After absorbing 6-clawed immortal dragon qi and immortal Dao scriptures in the East Sea, they were brimming with ambition. They planned to hone their skills at Cave Void Dongshu Camp, break through to the immortal realm, and then return to the Lingxiao realm and the East Sea as immortal realm experts, ushering in an era of their own making. But upon arriving at Cave Void Dongshu Camp, they suffered a series of setbacks, failing to even make the top 100 in the new recruit assessment. Had it not been for their East Sea expedition, they would likely have fallen below 200, perhaps even 300. Now, they had abandoned all thoughts of returning to the Lingxiao realm. Their sole focus was to break into the top 100 during the quarterly assessment. On the battle platform, Yuan Zhen, realizing his strength couldn't match Chang Yujian's, swiftly changed his battle technique. He summoned 3 spiritual artifact battle weapons and unleashed Dao techniques, abandoning direct confrontation in favor of defensive maneuvers, seeking openings in his opponent's defenses. Is this all you've got? Then let's end this. Chang Yujian laughed heartily. From his ancestral field, he unleashed 1,000 streams of sword qi, enveloping the entire battle platform in a swirling vortex of sword shadows, transforming him into a peerless sword immortal. If not for the formation's barrier, his attack would have encompassed the entire martial mystic field wilderness. After withstanding Chang Yujian's 8 full power strikes, Yuan Zhen was sent flying backward with a deafening metallic clang. He crashed off the battle platform, his body sliding uncontrollably across the ground. Regaining his footing, Yuan Zhen's face was pale as he lowered his gaze to the dented armor on his chest. He swallowed the mouthful of blood that had risen in his throat. He had been sent flying by a single horizontal strike from Chang Yujian's sword. Without this armor, had that sword been a slash instead of a strike, his body would have been cleaved in two. I've heard that martial mystic cultivators who cultivate the immortal body gain a 20 to 30% advantage over their peers in the immortal realm. But your improvement. It's far more than that. Yuan Zhen's eyes burned with defiance as he locked onto the heroic figure standing on the battle platform, his heart heavy with defeat. For decades, he had remained undefeated among his generation, hailed as the young sect leader by all. Though he resided in the Tribulation Crossing realm, he had disdained joining the Calamity Crossing Temple and never paid heed to the so-called young celestial emperors, vowing at the age of 10 to become the martial mystic Dao Heavenly Emperor. Yet now, his frustration swiftly burned away, transforming into an intense fighting spirit. Chang Yujian gracefully sheathed his sword, returning it to his ancestral field. He smiled and said, "It's because we're both in the Dao Seed realm now. Once we break through to the immortal realm, given the strength of your physical body, you'll likely cultivate an immortal body within days, erasing any remaining gap between us. This talk of a 1 or 2% difference is subtle. I'll be waiting for you in the immortal realm. We can explore this further then." In Chang Yujian's eyes, Yuan Zhen would undoubtedly throw himself into cultivating a immortal body after this battle, while he himself would immediately break through to the next realm, leaving his opponent far behind in cultivation level. His earlier words were merely another psychological battle. Chang Yujian's imposing presence, refined demeanor, and the triumphant aura of his victory naturally drew gazes of admiration, envy, and respect from countless martial mystic cultivators surrounding the battle platform. The nearly 100 sentinels of the Jade Sword Yujian Guard roared their approval. The valiant guard's victory filled them with pride, strengthening their sense of belonging. After this battle, Chang Yujian has secured first place in all quarterly and annual assessments during his 3-year rookie period, a mid-tier sentinel from the ninth heaven remarked. He'll likely claim all merit points and resource rewards, further widening his advantage. Lu Qing, Tong Yangzu, Yu Zheng, and the other top 10 recruits in the new recruit assessment held a different view. The so-called 1 or 2/10% advantage was merely a rough estimate based on the historical performance of disciples from ancient sects who had cultivated immortal bodies. It was neither insurmountable nor invincible. They wouldn't waste time directly confronting immortal bodies. Instead, they aimed to achieve a breakthrough to immortal realm as quickly as possible and seek opportunities in the nether realm of the dead to surpass Chang Yujian's sword. The nether realm of the dead had swallowed countless ancestral ruins, cities, sects, and ancient kingdoms. Many martial mystic cultivators came seeking these lost treasures, having gleaned secret information from veteran sentinel spirits. Under the gaze of countless eyes, Chang Yujian turned to face Li Wei, who stood below the battle platform. "Brother Wei," he called out, "how do you think I compare to the Rice Palace's true disciples now?" The crowd's initial confusion quickly gave way to realization. Could that be Li Wei, the top-ranked cultivator on the merit ranking? Someone exclaimed, "Rumor has it he defeated Sheng Wulian, the Rice Palace true disciple, in the East Sea." Defeated a Rice Palace true disciple. How many monstrous talents are in this year's recruit class? The one with 30,000 merit points. All eyes converged on Li Wei, filled with confusion, curiosity, and astonishment. It was inevitable. A month prior, the top spot on the merit ranking had caused a sensation in the new recruit camp, sparking countless speculations. Martial mystic cultivators with extensive connections had already uncovered Li Wei's background and origins. Defeating Sheng Wulian was undoubtedly a glorious feat, yet most remained skeptical. People tend to praise the powerful while belittling the weak, and rumors often become distorted through repetition. Li Wei offered his honest assessment. Sheng Wulian is no match for Brother Chang. Chang Yujian asked, "When shall we spar?" Not a formal challenge, just a private exchange. He was well aware of Li Wei's background and sought to forge a connection, perhaps even recruit him. The Chang clan's influence and power far surpassed those of the Zhu Li clan and the Zuaoqiu sect. A public duel, regardless of the outcome, would inevitably be dissected by onlookers, potentially straining relations. Li Wei sensed Chang Yujian's goodwill and recognized his exceptional composure. Even at the height of his success, Chang Yujian remained humble and restrained. However, the other martial mystic cultivators present lacked such restraint. Countless eager eyes fell upon Li Wei, burning with martial mystic spirits. They craved challenges against the strong, believing that even in defeat, they would hone their skills. Li Wei, however, had no desire to face a barrage of challengers. It would be a waste of time and would make him appear overly aggressive. Most importantly, he didn't need the money right now. Otherwise, he would have charged a hefty fee to accept all challenges and make a killing. "My Wind Mansion Dao seed cultivation path is uncertain," Li Wei said with a wry smile, turning to address the crowd. "I'm not in the mood for martial mystic Dao sparring at the moment. I truly envy you all, who can strive for the immortal realm. No matter how strong a Dao Seed Realm martial mystic cultivator is, they can never match a immortal realm practitioner." The mention of Wind Mansion Dao Seed sent another wave of commotion through the martial mystic arena. Many martial mystic cultivators whispered among themselves, finding it hard to believe. A Wind Mansion Dao Seed defeated the Rice Palace true disciple. He must have used special tactics. I told you, you can't trust even a third of these rumors. For Chang Yujian to even suggest sparring, his strength must be extraordinary. Just as he said, no matter how strong a Dao Seed Realm cultivator is, once we break through, we leave him far behind. Tu Nanfeng, who had been observing the battle from afar, strode forward with thunderous steps, his massive frame radiating an overwhelming aura. He roared, "What are you all gawking at? Has your spiritual chi fully recovered? The mountain formation is complete. This afternoon's training intensity will be double that of this morning's. In the nether realm of the dead, we can't breathe or absorb heaven and earth's spiritual chi. We must rely solely on the 9 springs within our bodies. You must learn to conserve every wisp of spiritual chi and strengthen your springs through training. Li Wei, have you reported to the Valiant Guard yet? Which guard did you join?" Lu Qing, Yu Zheng, and Tong Yangzu all turned to look, their attention fixed on the matter. If Li Wei chose their guard, it would be a major headache. Even though he was a Wind Mansion Dao Seed whose martial mystic Dao had been severed, the mere weight of being ranked first on the merit ranking would be a heavy burden to bear. Every sentinel possessed extraordinary talent, making it highly likely they would reach the immortal realm. 100 sentinels in a single guard, what a formidable force. The Valiant Guard and Deputy Valiant Guards considered these sentinels their personal recruits, tolerating no interference from others. Outside the Sentinel Spirit Army, each held extraordinary status, young sect leaders, imperial court nobles, or eldest sons of the ancient clan, each destined for a bright future in their respective life realms. The Sentinel Spirit Army wasn't a sect, free time and service time were split evenly, 50-50. How could they possibly resist the opportunity to recruit? Chong Yujian extended an olive branch to Li Wei, stepping down from the battle platform and striding over. Brother Wei, of course you'll join my Jade Sword Yujian Guard. Tu Nanfeng turned to Li Wei. Li Wei had already made his decision. He bowed respectfully to Tu Nanfeng, then clasped his hands toward Chong Yujian. Thank you for your kind invitation, Brother Chong, but for the foreseeable future, I'll be focusing on cultivating my psychic power, striving to achieve success on that path. Hearing this, many martial mystic cultivators who had been secretly watching the exchange visibly relaxed, fully understanding his choice. Chong Yujian narrowed his eyes, doubting that Li Wei was one to easily accept fate. Wary of revealing too much too soon, he smiled. With your psychic power talent, becoming a holy spiritual master is within reach. A holy spiritual master's combat prowess at the same realm might even surpass that of a martial mystic cultivator. The psychic techniques of the Valiant Guard commander in the Spiritual Master Guard are truly formidable. Li Wei and Tai Shiyu left the martial mystic arena wilderness and entered the cloudglow-shrouded mountains. Following the stone path winding through the mountains, they headed toward Blazing Absolute Mountain, where the Spiritual Master Guard's new recruit camp was located. The towering cliffs of the two mountains were adorned with thousand Zhang waterfalls and various structures nestled among ancient trees and dense forests. Legend had it that sentinel spirits who had reached the immortal realm and holy spiritual masters resided in these ancient palaces and cultivation caves. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 6, Battle for the True Inheritance. Chapter 4 545 The Spiritual Master Guard Nian Shui. 4th of Volume 6. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. The Cave Void Dongshu Camp, located on the former site of the ancient Myriad sect, spanned hundreds of miles, resembling a self-contained world. This place was once known as the Xiansha sect. A century ago, it was destroyed by a cursed calamity. Overnight, every member of the sect, from the highest-ranking elders to the lowliest disciples, was afflicted by a curse. Like withered plants, they transformed into desiccated corpses. Even disciples who were far from the sect, in other living realms, were not spared. No one ever discovered what had happened. In any case, the region surrounding the Xiansha sect had become a cursed forbidden zone within the Crimson Bright realm. No cultivator dared approach it. The cursed calamity from a century ago still circulated throughout the living realms, spoken of in hushed tones and with palpable dread. The Sentinel Spirit Army investigated the cursed calamity and seemed to have uncovered the truth, but the findings were never made public. Only the Sentinel Lord and Deputy Sentinel Lord knew the full story. The two figures sped along the stone path, passing lakes and ancient forests. They dared not take flight, fearing they might trigger an invisible formation. Blazing Absolute Mountain lies near the nether realm of the dead, at the southernmost edge of the Cave Void Dongshu Camp, 200 miles from the martial mystic arena plains in the front mountains. Tai Shiyu explained, legend has it that all the dead from the ancient Myriad sect who perished in the cursed calamity were buried on this mountain. How could that be? Cursed corpses are always cremated. As they climbed Yanju Mountain, Li Wei felt the heat intensifying. Curious, he asked, since you already joined the Spiritual Master Guard, what were you doing at the martial mystic arena? Delivering formation flags. They're setting up a mountain formation there to intensify training. Tai Shiyu continued, the Sentinel Spirit Army originally didn't need psychic masters. After all, there's no light in the netherworld, and once a psychic master's spiritual light is depleted, it's difficult to replenish. But the formations at the camps and outposts need maintenance, and someone has to craft talismans to combat dead spirits. That's why they established the Spiritual Master Guard. Let me show you something special. Tai Shiyu mysteriously pulled a scroll from his boundary pouch. Li Wei took it and immediately recognized its significance. The scroll was made from paper crafted from the wood of ancient spiritual trees, capable of storing spiritual light and used for crafting formation diagrams and talismans. Realizing the scroll contained something extraordinary, he carefully unrolled it with great reverence. The first page revealed a slender figure imprinted with spiritual light, resembling a battle technique's portrait. She wore a cyan robe, held a luminous pearl in her hand, and her long hair cascaded down to her waist. Her eyes were icy, her nose delicate, and her full, rounded breast stood out prominently beneath her youthful, graceful face, creating a figure that could set any man's blood racing. Beside the portrait, elegant scriptures provided a detailed introduction and description. This first spiritual light portrait was a copy of Qing Zijin, the deputy valiant guard of the spiritual master guard. Li Wei immediately flipped to the second page, which featured a stunning woman in full armor. She sat on the martial mystic arena plains, radiating an aura of gentle beauty, her skin fair and luminous. According to the accompanying text, this was Tong Yangzu, who had ranked 4th in the recent newcomer assessment. Li Wei wasn't a rigid, humorless man. After thoroughly examining the entire scroll with genuine interest, he closed it and remarked, "You went to the martial mystic arena just to deliver formation flags. Brother Tai Shi, you're far too bold. Secretly using psychic power to copy spiritual light portraits of so many women, if they ever found out, they'd never forgive you. What are you planning? Are these your targets for the Cave Void Dongshu camp?" Tai Shi Yu's nickname, after all, was Qing Shi Yu, History of Passion Yu. He snatched the scroll from Li Wei's hand and immediately hid it. What's most important for psychic power cultivation? Resources. The true spiritual pill costs 800,000 Yongquan coins each. During our time as new recruits, everything is free. We can't just sit around and do nothing, right? I plan to create a beauty ranking of this year's Sentinels, then secretly sell it to make some quick money. It won't take much time anyway. While I'm at it, I'll find a woman I like and pursue her, have a wind, snow, and moon romance, and create an unforgettable memory. You need to understand that for over half our lives, we'll likely be stuck in the Cave Void Dongshu camp in the Nether Realm of the Dead. Only by finding a Dao companion in the Cave Void Dongshu camp can our lives become truly vibrant and meaningful. We need to act first and be ahead of the curve, or we'll regret it later when Changyu Jian, Lu Qing, Yuan Zhen, and the others beat us to it. Don't worry. I won't tell Zuoqiu Hongting or Zhang Ning about this. Why don't you choose first? Tai Shi Yu unrolled the scroll and began flipping through the pages. I appreciate your good intentions, but I must decline. Li Wei pressed his hand down. Brother Taishi, stop this. It's too dangerous. These spirit light portraits were secretly copied. If they find out, they'll be furious. Blazing absolute Yanju Mountain, a colossal peak, straddled the living realm and the netherworld. As they ascended, they encountered the cloud mist formation, within which stood numerous palaces and cave dwellings. The environment was breathtaking, with meticulously cultivated medicinal fields carved into the mountainside. Servants and maids bustled about, tending the fields, transporting supplies, and feeding exotic beasts. Li Wei mused, if Yuer had a palace here, she would be definitely overjoyed. Reaching the mountainside, they finally saw the intense light emanating from the summit. A massive rift, hundreds of feet long, hung in the air like an unhealable wound in the fabric of space. Crimson flames roared within the fissure, radiating waves of scorching heat. Li Wei stopped, staring. Is that the soul-burning heavenly fire? Tai Shi Yu nodded. Legend has it that the Sentinel commander of the Sentinel Spirit Army traveled from a distant land. Using a secret treasure, he tore open the barrier to the heavenly fire world, creating this void fire abyss to purify and incinerate the cursed monsters here. A century has passed, yet the abyss remains open. Well, that works to our advantage, Li Wei said, cultivating psychic power here is far faster than anywhere else. The new recruit camp of the Spiritual Master Guard was now within sight. The camp was built on a flat area halfway up the mountain, with various structures scattered across the terrain. As more figures appeared, the camp buzzed with voices, animal roars, insect chirps, and other sounds. Tai Shi Yu walked alongside Li Wei, saying, this year's Spiritual Master Guard recruited 94 sentinels. I ranked 10th, which means I get to lead my own squad. Why don't you join my team for a year? Only 10th. Li Wei replied. I don't consider that a low ranking, Tai Shi Yu countered, it's quite an achievement, actually. I heard there's an extraordinary beauty in this year's Spiritual Master Guard, said to be the #1 beauty in the living realm. Is that true? Li Wei suddenly recalled something Elder Qin had mentioned and casually asked. Tai Shi Yu burst into laughter, so you're dropping the act now. You've come to the right person. I suspect this legendary beauty is none other than the Deputy Valiant Guard. If you're interested, you could join Squad 1, she's the captain there. Greetings, Deputy Valiant Guard. Tai Shi Yu's expression shifted slightly as he clasped his hands in a formal bow toward the figure ahead. Qing Zijin stood ramrod straight outside the camp gate, her spiritual light still shimmering from her use of the teleportation psychic technique. Her vibrant blue robes, sharp gaze, and luminous, radiant skin were striking, but a veil concealed her face, obscuring the features visible in the spirit light portrait. Qing Zijin had overheard their entire conversation. Tai Shi Yu, why did it take you half a day to deliver the formation flags? I encountered new recruits joining the ranks, which caused some delay, Taishiyu replied calmly, quickly introducing Li Wei. This is Li Wei, the top-ranked individual on the merit leaderboard. He missed the new recruit assessment due to his pursuit of merit and only reported to the Spiritual Master Guard today. He wishes to join a team under the Deputy Valiant Guard. I request that the Deputy Valiant Guard help him catch up on the missed training. You're Li Wei. Qing Zijin's willow leaf eyebrows furrowed, her gaze indifferent as she sized him up. He was nothing like the young prodigy she had imagined, the one capable of defeating the Inagong true disciple. Too frivolous. First impressions are hard to shake. What young prodigy with a profound psychic state would immediately ask about the most beautiful woman upon arrival? His motives are too obvious. Li Wei, ever perceptive, sensed an extraordinary aura emanating from Qing Zijin, one far beyond what a spiritual master could possess. He bowed respectfully. Greetings, Deputy Valiant Guard. As the top-ranked individual on the merit leaderboard, you should be able to join any team. The two Sentinel Spirit seniors overseeing the Spiritual Master Guard would typically approve. However, I am the captain of Team 1. If I refuse, you won't be admitted. Qing Zijin knew that once Li Wei met the great holy masters Yuan Jingxin and Shui Yan, the matter would be settled. Therefore, she intended to make him realize the futility of his efforts beforehand and withdraw. Li Wei glared at Tai Shiyu before explaining, actually, it's not what the Deputy Valiant Guard thinks. No need to explain. Too much explanation only breeds resentment. If you truly possess the skill, withstand one of my talismans while remaining standing, and I'll let you join first squad. Qing Zijin stood motionless, her aura instantly transforming. Her presence became as imposing as a verdant mountain, radiating a majestic grandeur, surrounded by a brilliant golden halo. She had long been curious about the strength of the man who had defeated the Rice Palace's true disciple. A talismanic rune erupted from her brow, instantly dissolving into the heavens and earth, transforming into a dense swarm of thunderous lightning bolts. Boom. Li Wei recognized her as a holy spiritual master, but he hadn't expected her cultivated spirit light to be a heterogeneous variant. Nor had he anticipated her striking without warning, giving him no chance to explain. Reacting instinctively, Li Wei's martial mystic intent merged with the towering, 100-meter-tall Fusong divine tree, forming a colossal karma burning wheel that collided with the surging lightning. Bang! Within the karma burning wheel, Li Wei and Tai Shiyu were blasted backward by the thunderous force, skidding 6 or 7 meters across the ground. Qing Zijin gazed at the two lush and radiant Fusong divine trees emanating from Li Wei's body. The legends were indeed true. She turned back to the camp. You've passed. Tai Shiyu sighed in admiration. Impressive. She mastered the yin-shattering thunder talisman for dealing with dead spirits in just 5 days of instruction. She's a holy spiritual master with heterogeneous spirit light, Li Wei reminded him. This misunderstanding has blown out of proportion. You should go explain things clearly. At this point, refusing to join Team 1 would only worsen the misunderstanding. She's already agreed. Don't complicate things further. Tai Shiyu swaggered through the camp gates, leading Li Wei to meet Yuan Jingxin, one of the two instructors at the Spiritual Master Guard camp. After that, Li Wei formally joined the team. Since I'm here, I might as well settle in. Li Wei planned to stay with Team 1 for a year, then compete for a Valiant Guard position during the annual assessment. Over the next few weeks, Li Wei spent his days at the Spiritual Master Guard camp, studying talismanic runes for yin-shattering thunder talismans, purification talismans, corpse control talismans, and other techniques. He also absorbed skyfire from the void fire abyss, condensing it within his spirit realm. At night, he returned to Camp 36, entered the blood mud space, wove cocoon of time, and refined talismans. Half a month passed quickly. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel.